Beauty and Beard was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. No. I lifted the towel.
I was like, you getting fresh with me on the podcast? And it was the pillow touching my butt.
Yes.
I thought you were getting fresh with me. Just now I was about to say, girl.
I was holding up the pillow.
Can you wait about 20 minutes so we can, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
That's going to be a blooper, isn't it?
It is definitely going to be a blooper. I'm adding that at the very beginning. Here we go. Beauty and Beard jobs. Take one. Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, T. Roy.
And I'm your girl, Shaka.
And we are Beauty and Beard. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It has been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we last did this.
It has.
Look, so long my hair's grown.
But see, here's the thing. You got to be careful about that because people will really come see you and be like, hey, your hair got long.
I know. It's not. It's a weave. For those of you who don't understand or know what that is, it's a weave.
You gonna put that? You want me to bleep that out?
I don't care.
What? Has that ever been a thing? Like, has somebody?
That's not the intro topic. Let's go.
Okay. Well, look, here. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
No.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
Nope, that's it.
Has anybody ever said to you, your hair wasn't that long?
Yes, I've heard that before. Your hair's grown. I have a tendency whenever I do things like this with my hair, I don't do it. I don't make a drastic change. So it does look more natural when people see me because it's just a little bit over time. Mm-hmm. But yes, I've gotten that.
How hard is it to get like other things done? Because like nails and eyebrows and stuff, man, y'all women, I don't want to, let me generalize and say all women.
This woman. I'm like, let's just use this woman as an example because when you say these things, you have something particular in mind.
Okay,
right?
so you got hair on your head
Yes.
that you got to go to a place to go get done.
Yes.
Then you got eyebrows that you got to get done.
Yes.
Then you got nails that need to get done.
Yes.
And then if you do I don't know, maybe you can go to the same place and get your feet done or something like that.
Usually.
But there are a lot of places that you have to go to in order to like get done up.
Yeah.
That's a lot of services. So can you find an all-in-one or, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it, I don't know.
There are places that offer an all-in-one opportunity, but I think me personally, finding someone who's more specialized in a particular skill set is better than trying to go someplace that caters to everything. I tend to go wherever I feel someone does a better job. So if you do really good hair, I'm going to you for hair. If you do really good nails, I'm going to you for nails. And they're not always in the same spot. But I mean, just until recently, you didn't go to Burger King for a chicken sandwich.
And they got a daggone chicken sandwich now.
I'm just saying, like, you're probably going to Chick-fil-A or, now I guess Popeyes and different places like that. But just like restaurants, you're not going to go to an Italian restaurant looking for American food, really. So
that is true.
And I mean, even though they may have it on their menu, it doesn't mean it's their specialty. So you're probably going to go to a place that specializes in what you are looking for or the service you need.
Everybody got a daggone chicken sandwich now. Burger King got one. McDonald's revamped theirs. I heard vegan places got chicken sandwiches. All because Popeyes and Chick-fil-A got into the war and now everybody wants to be a part of it.
No, honestly, I think it's just like everything else that's driving the food industry right now is people want healthier choices. And so it's not necessarily that war. It's they offered something that people really wanted, because you're finding out that having these heavy saturated burgers are not as good for you all the time. And so you went to a place like a Chick-fil-A where you could get something that was considered healthier. But it's just like how some of these places are adding vegetables to their menu. They're adding a vegan option or a vegetarian option, a gluten-free option. They're just trying to make sure that they have something for everyone, which keeps them more competitive. So I don't know if that was necessarily the driving force behind it, or if it was the fact that everybody was looking for something healthy, and in order to be able to keep up, they
No,
had to offer something different.
I believe that they saw that Chick-fil-A was running the show. So then Popeyes was like, all right, we got a chicken sandwich. Mind you, at the same time, a lot of places already had chicken sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
They already had chicken sandwiches. And they saw when Popeyes got in the game, and then they kind of was throwing jabs at Chick-fil-A, and then everybody had to go to Popeyes to get it. And then people were literally fighting to get a chicken sandwich from Popeyes.
Okay, but also I will add this. You see the same thing happen went to like a Taco Bell, I guess, when places like Chipotle came around. When you started to realize that you could also get healthier food. Notice I say healthier. I'm not trying to claim that some of these things are healthy.
We're not health experts.
Okay, but
we're not
I'm
food
saying,
health experts, just to let everybody know.
when you could get healthier food, or you could get food that was fresher, that also drove it. So like, if you remember back in the day when McDonald's came out and they had the chicken nuggets that were like the chicken nuggets they had forever, and then people were claiming that it wasn't real meat, and they had to either change the chicken nuggets or they had to defend it. But the commercial that started coming out was, it's real meat, or it's white meat,
yeah.
or it's real white meat, or
Look,
something like that.
Let me tell you this right now. McDonald's got the best chicken nugget on the market. I'm sorry, Chick-fil-A. McDonald's got you beat there.
I don't know. Because here's another thing too. Now, where I was going with that was the first part of them changing to show that their food, I guess, was quality. The next thing they did, which I never quite understand, was they started offering chicken strips. And so it was kind of like you have chicken nuggets, and then you have chicken strips.
Yeah.
But the chicken strips taste like chicken. So then it was kind of like what you were trying to say about your nuggets. Now that you have something I can compare it to that's in your store, I can taste the difference.
Right.
But my point is, it was another option for people, and it kind of, I guess, took on that whole, we can have fresher food or healthier food or more healthy options for you to have. And that was kind of, I think, where I started seeing it. You start seeing places like a Chipotle and a Zoe's Kitchen and all these other places that are offering quality food fast or healthier food fast.
Yeah.
And I think everyone else just, again, started seeing this is the new trend. You have different government organizations that are talking about how certain food is damaging and how certain food is making people obese. And so, of course, you don't want to be the place that's being called out. The movie Super Size came out.
I was actually thinking about that when you said that. And honestly, when Super Size Me came out, I still went to McDonald's. Mm-hmm. It didn't stop me at all. Mind you, I think it came out around the times I was an athlete, and at that time I could eat anything, and I would burn right through it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there were a lot of transitions that were happening over the past decade that I think have contributed to what you see on today's menus, and also what are driving forces for restaurants coming out. I mean, the fact that you're able now to find so many vegan restaurants that are just, completely vegetarian or health food conscious or whatever. You have whole restaurants dedicated to making a salad like now, which couldn't have imagined that ever. Like places we had here that focus on making salads.
Yo, I didn't know this. I saw a video the other day, and I say this, this will be my last piece about talk about sandwiches, and we'll get to the topic. McDonald's had salads like back in the day, and we didn't even know about it.
I knew about it. I mean, I really doubt as an athlete you were going to up to the counter and be like, "Can I have a large Cobb salad?"
I wanted a 20-piece nugget.
I
wanted a 20-piece nugget with a double cheeseburger and some French fries and a milkshake.
And then he said, "Super size me."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they were on the menu before. You probably just
I
didn't
was
look at
not.
that
That was
side of
not
the
one of the things I
menu.
was paying attention to. We
Exactly.
went from hair to talking about
It
chicken.
was like, oh, look at the appetizer. So,
We went from hair to talking about appetizers to talking about all types of stuff.
mhm.
That's how random our conversation could be, and I like that part.
Good.
You don't know so much. When Shaka does stuff like that, she's like, okay, let's move on.
Yep.
So, first of all, it's been a while since we've been on here, and it's not been because of we don't desire to be on here. It's been several reasons, and we're going to explain. One of them is we've been going through transition. We've been going through transition for the past probably this is probably about the past 7 months. We've been going through transition, and one of those transitions we've been going through is we quit our jobs.
Ha! We quit a job.
Wait, no, what do you mean?
Well, you said we quit our jobs. You made it sound like we're not working anymore, and we're like doing the podcast full time because it's supporting us.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, a lot of times we're still working, guys.
We
nope,
are
nope. 9 to 5, 9 to 5 here.
Let me keep it a stack with you. I would love to do this full time if we could, but I know I was talking to my homeboy today. In order to do podcasting full time, like you need full dedication, and prayerfully over a course of time, we could be more dedicated to it and maybe dropping one every week or something like that. I would really like to do that. But I make no promises because this takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. In order for me to be able to dedicate one time a week, we would have to have a room dedicated to being a studio so that we'd never have to take it down.
We could do that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Yeah. So then we could just like get up in the morning and walk downstairs or whatever and go into the studio and record.
You know what? Why didn't we do that? We could do that.
Because in the basement.
Yeah, I was about to say because we are technically shooting in our living room right now, and our living room is flipped upside down. In order for us to not flipped upside down.
No, it's flipped upside down.
We had to move some things. You know what I'm saying? It's not flipped.
It's a hot mess.
We pushed the couch back and turned this couch and pushed the ottoman over and turned the TV. and put up 2 lights and then moved this. It's
a hot
flipped.
mess.
It's flipped.
It's a hot
it's
mess.
Flipped.
We did all this for one couch.
And we do it for y'all. Actually, we do it. We really do it for us. Part of the reason why we started the podcast, my vision, Shaka and I wanted the opportunity to talk more, and this was like, hey, if we're gonna talk, let's record it so you have record that we talk.
That's what he keeps telling you. So let me clarify, okay? Because that was my husband's reason for wanting to do the podcast.
Okay.
Because I kept saying we don't talk enough.
Okay.
And I think for him, he loved seeing the interaction that he saw from others on social media, on, like YouTube, things like that. And it just became this fun way of, if we're going to have these conversations, why don't we share our conversations?
No doubt. And I definitely wanted to do it because I like production too. I like video editing.
Yes. So it kind of, this is his love language. And I shared that before. I said, one of the reasons why I shared a particular topic before wasn't necessarily because I was ready, but because I did not want to hinder you from having the conversation. And I knew that this was your way of being able to release, kind of.
Yeah.
So
we quit our jobs.
We quit our job.
We quit our job.
He keeps saying jobs.
Well, I mean, you had a job and I had a job.
Yeah, but we had a job at the same place.
We did have a job at the same place. And I just want to let people know right now that if you look for us, I mean, we're talking about quitting our jobs. We're not going to necessarily go into a bashing session or anything like that. Full-fledged. We won't. But we do want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We do want to be honest, and we do want to share about like what happened. And then what's been going on since there. So Shaka is the first one to quit her job. So let's
He
even
set me up.
so let's even rewind a little bit. How did we get to the jobs that we have today? All right, the jobs that we
Then you
quit.
have to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Okay.
So how did we get to the jobs that we quit? So back in 2010, no, 2013. I'm sorry, 2010 we got married. Then we moved to Maryland. I got a job there working as academic counselor for a university. Shaka was working for a lab. I think they were cloning people, but she won't tell me. She said it's top secret. But I think they were
I
cloning
worked
people.
in regenerative medicine.
That sounds like you cloning people and
Okay.
you splicing genes of humans and animals and stuff together. And she wouldn't trust me to tell me exactly what it is. And I tried to tell her that if we go to court, I can't testify against her. But she was not doing that. It was regenerative medicine. So and then I wanted to leave the rat. I wanted to get out of the rat race that we had in Maryland of working because it was because of the commute and the time that Shaka will work upwards to 60, 70 hours a week. And then she got to come home and deal with my nonsense. And so it was wearing on her. I was waking up, traveling an hour and a half, going to work. I had to be at work for 9 hours and then come back home another hour and a half. And then we really didn't spend a lot of time together. So it was wake up, work, eat, sleep, wake up, work, eat, sleep, church, wake up, and we'll fit a movie in there every once in a while. We really weren't living.
No. We had the nature of my job, and because of how it was set up in the end, I'm not going to say that this should have been it because it didn't have to be, in my opinion. And I only know that because it wasn't like that when I first got the job. It's one of those things where the job was sweet when it started out and you're like, I could do this for a long time. And then eventually they decided to change the structure while you were already there.
Yeah.
And you kind of had to fall in line or fall out. So in the end, I wound up having lots of overnights.
Yeah.
I went from a job where the days were automatically going to be long. I was working from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So it's like 10 hours for the most part, straight through. And because there was a small lunch break in there if you took it. But it went from that being my schedule for several years to all of a sudden them changing production and putting us on shifts. And I got put on the night shift. Like it wasn't the night shift, it was the third shift. And, and it wasn't my choice. I wasn't asked. I was told that I had to.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was coming in at, I think it was 9 a.m. and I was supposed to be working from like 9 to 7 or 7:30.
Yeah.
But what happened was there was no shift after hours. And so with the nature of the job that I had working with cells, you can't just tell your cells it's my clock out time.
Yeah, you work on their schedule.
Exactly. So sometimes my shift got pushed later. Other times I wound up having to work till like midnight. The longest shift one I always tell people about that I think was the breaking point for us was I had to work 21 hours straight.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
Didn't something bad happen with that
That
thing?
was why I had to work 21 hours. Yeah, something happened and we were supposed, so mind you, we weren't leaving until 1 a.m. that time. And I was supposed to be off at 7:30. By the time we got everything done, it was 1 a.m. and I was like ready to go home. One of the dewars, which is something that we use to preserve the cells and things like that in it, basically, working with liquid nitrogen, keeping stuff cold, was overflowing. And I happened to be the one to catch it. And long story short, she wound up making me stay until the on-call person came, and the on-call person lived an hour away. And so by the time they were able to get a hold of someone and someone had gotten up and were on their way and all that stuff and everything was taken care of, it was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, well now I've worked pretty much 2 shifts. Can I take tomorrow off, which was a Friday, or can I come in and only do half a day? And because again, we were the last shift and there was no one to cover for us, having one person gone from the team really put you in a bad position. Like there was no backup. So she was like, you can come in a couple of hours later. And by a couple, it literally was 2 hours later.
That's crazy.
it was like it's 5 o'clock in the morning. My shift starts at 9. So she's like, you can
You
come in
come
at
at
11.
11. And so she needed to leave.
Yeah.
I got tired of the rat race. Love my carpool. Shout out to my carpool people. I don't want to say everybody's name because I'll leave somebody out. But y'all know who y'all are. My peoples. So we want to get out of the rat race. I started applying for jobs. One of the things that Shaka mentioned to me prior to me looking for my job, she said she wanted to go back to school, and I wanted to stay in higher education, so it kind of worked. And a lot of higher education institutions have the benefit that if you work there, your dependents and your spouse can be able to go to school for free. Well, I got a phone call one day from someone saying, "Hey, we got your resume, and we want to interview you for a job." And I was like, "Okay, cool. What's the job again?" I had applied to so many places. I didn't even know I had applied. So applied to several places, got this job. We moved to Lynchburg, Virginia, which is where we are right now. And we're not going to be after a while. We moved down here, and I've been working here since 2013, and this is 2021 right now. And the job was great. I started off in one position as a coordinator. They promoted me to associate director. They moved some people around. Thankfully, they agreed to being moved around so I could take this position, and things were great. Now, here's the crazy part. My wife got her job. My wife started working with me at this location, at the same place, and this is how she got her job. Listen to this story, people. Shaka was bringing me lunch. The HR person said, tell your wife to apply for a job. She applied for the job and got it. That's how she got her job. The favor that is on my wife's life is redonkulous. And here's the even crazy part. My wife gets the job, interview for one job. They were like, we can't give you that one. We want to give you this one instead. She was like, okay, I'll take it. Got it. Was there for maybe less than 2 years. Got promoted once, and then less than a year got promoted again. Mind you, we came here for me to work. And Shaka came to my institution and got 2 promotions. And then she started making more money than me. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not mad about that at all. Hey, boo-boo, get your money. Because get your money, boo-boo. As soon as we...
I know you were going to mention that part.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to celebrate you. I'm going to celebrate you. She started making more money than me, and I'm not mad at that at all. Get your money, boo.
It was only a little bit more. Just for clarity, it's not like I was making 10,000 more or something like that. It was literally a little bit.
She was making more than me.
But I want to kind of go back because you made it. I do believe it was favor, and I'm not going to knock that at all. But I was also qualified.
You also qualified. I'm sorry. Let me.
One thing that you may not know about me is I actually used to work in academia when I was younger. So this was not my first time working at a college or for a college. This was actually my third time working at a university level. And so in addition to having, I had my degree, I had worked in the science field. So I think for me, that kind of shows that I could learn something very quickly or handle things, pressure. But I had also worked in academia already. So I had been, I'd worked in admissions, I had worked in registration, like I had done all those different things. So I wasn't new to the college. So I want to say, I also would like to think that this HR person was doing her job and saw my resume and realized that I was going to be a coordinator.
Yeah.
And realized that I had the skill set already to be a coordinator because I wasn't new to that particular job.
This woman went from a coordinator to an assistant director to director. Favor. And she was good. She was good at it. Shaka's. I'm not sure if you realize this, babe, but I just realized this a couple days ago. Remember, I said I need to make decisions in life just so you can accessorize it. Shaka has the ability. Shaka has the ability to. Her gifting is administration, and now that I've realized that her gift and her ability is administration, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to flex in an area, and I'm just praying that the Lord give me guidance on how to do that. But anyway, uh she came in and she started killing. I remember the recommendation that was given out on your behalf for you to take on, I forgot if it was the assistant director or the director's position, but I remember you showing me the recommendation that somebody's getting. I was like, dang, yo, that's wild. And look, here's the crazy part, y'all. Listen to me this. Shaka doubled her income.
Mm-hmm.
This woman doubled her income within 3 years.
Mm-hmm. That did happen. That wasn't. There was a whole. Guys, I want to say this. Like, yes, that was the favor of God. I'm not knocking it again. That was the favor of God completely. This same thing happened at another job that I had.
That happened when you first came here.
No, that happened. Yeah, that happened there too. I forgot about that.
When you were doing substitute teaching.
Okay. So this is my take on it.
Wild.
And I'm not.
Good. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, and I'm
I'm tooting it for you. No, I'm gonna cut you off. I'm sorry. I know it's a women's movement and all that type of stuff. Hey, ma'am, you are blessed and highly favored. Not only that, but you are very skilled, and you have gifts. And let me speak well of you. Let me speak well of you as I move your microphone up because you shifted up. If you can, just shift up your microphone a little bit from the base. From the base over there.
Oh, here.
Because you shifted a little bit, and I want to make sure that we capture. There we go, right there.
Okay. Now I just shifted back down to move it.
Let me speak very highly of you, ma'am. You are very gifted. You are very talented. You are extremely smart. You pick up things extremely fast. Not only that, but you have the presence that makes other people around you excel. I even remember about one of the jobs you had, and the lady had a terminal illness, and you were only there for a short period of time. And even in your short period of time, you were able to be an encouragement to her during her process of going through her procedures and things like that. She's still alive. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what Shaka, I mean, even after she left that job, they were still communicating. Shaka was still checking in on her and stuff like that. Like, she was an encouragement to these people. Ma'am, you are a blessing. You are blessed. And I am surprised that you let me marry you. I've said that several times.
You have. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
I feel the same way about you a lot too.
Well, we can talk all day about my awesomeness, but we're not going to do that.
We're not.
Why? Dang. I took out time to talk about your awesomeness.
Because you took out time to talk. I thank you so much for everything you said.
Yeah, okay.
And I really appreciate it. No, you actually said part of what I was going to say. And so I'm honored and that you would take the time to say these things about me and to encourage me in that way. So thank you, babe.
I appreciate you. So that was Shaka's time there. I got a promotion. I only got one promotion, a slight increase. It was probably about a 20% increase. Yeah, 20% increase. Shaka doubled hers. I'm not trying to compare, but I'm just trying to say
you keep going back to that.
She made more money than me. I got an increase with my promotion. Some time went by. Of course, jobs are jobs. I have a close friend of mine, David Hudson. He said very clearly, he said, Troy, we don't come to work to have fun. We come to work to work. So the job had its ups and downs, and it's been a whole lot more ups than it has been downs. It was a great job. And then some things started to change. Leadership ended up being in the news a lot more often for not so positive things. And then distinctly March 23rd, 2020, my wife and I, COVID had just, well, the restrictions for COVID had just hit maybe a week prior. Places were starting to shut down. Our leadership was trying to figure out how things were going to go. And on the 23rd, my wife and I sat at our kitchen table right in there, and we prayed a prayer. We were like, God, we feel as though that you are allowing us to be released. And we just need to know, are you releasing us, and should we stay at our jobs that we have? And this was March 23rd of 2020. We prayed that prayer. And I remember distinctly in that prayer saying, God, I am too stupid to see subtle signs. I need for you to be clear. Clear. I do not want to, I don't want to figure out a shape of a cloud in the sky to see. I need a clear sign. So we prayed that prayer. 2 days later, leadership was in the news for something negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then we was like, you know what, God? We hear you.
Yeah.
That was clear as day.
It was you couldn't have been any clearer.
You couldn't have been any clearer at all.
And if I may, to add this part of it was because at the time there was a lot of racial tension happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
talk your talk.
And Black Lives Matter, has really kind of just started popping off. And so in the location that we worked, we were a minority. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was definitely like a predominantly white location.
Yeah.
And so in the way that leadership was in the news, it had to do with something racial.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had asked God for a sign,
when you put it like that,
it was like, well, Lord, there's only a few of us that this kind of affects in a negative light like that.
Oh my God.
So that was our first sign.
Yeah, that was our first sign. And then and so okay. So then I picked up. Now, mind you, at the same time, I want to be completely transparent. I had been asked, because some other people in my at where we were working also left too. Mm-hmm. And so people immediately start coming to me like, hey, Troy, are you going to leave? And I'm like, look, man, look. And I would tell every single last one of them, and I still stick to this today. Look, I'm not going to be an associate director here my whole life. I do desire for for promotion. I look for elevation in my job, and I do desire to seek that. And so it may require me to leave. I don't know, but if not, then whatever. You know what I'm saying? I was looking even prior to that, because I was like, hey, let me just put some feelers out there to see if there's any opportunity for me to have promotion or anything of that nature. And let me add this caveat, because I know it could be said, well, Troy, how come you didn't look for promotion at the current place where you worked? And it kind of goes back to that prayer. We felt as though we were being released. And so we started looking outside for jobs. And that was in March 2020. And then August 2020, something else happened at our job. 13 people were cut. They like to say they were restructured. They were cut. And that was another sign. What are you going to say?
I think the word they use is, so we're eliminating your position.
We're eliminating your position, and then we're going to repurpose you or restructure you somewhere else. And we were like, all right, God, now here's what God, this is the revelation I received from that. My revelation from that is, okay, if they are willing to do this to people around you, then they're also willing to do it to you. And so that spoke clearly to me to be like, hey, I need to increase this search. But I'm gonna be honest with you, during this whole time, I kept getting favor. Like I was getting favor. I've been rewarded, awarded. I can never know the difference. Award, reward. Award is something for something that you did. A reward is,
I don't know.
Anyway, one of them awards. I have been getting accolades after accolades after accolades. I've been appreciated by everyone around me, but I just did not feel safe.
So you were being rewarded by receiving awards.
Yes.
Are you talking about the actual like acknowledgement that you were receiving?
Yes.
Or an actual, because you have certificates too.
I got certificates,
okay,
awards.
So all of that.
I was getting accolades. Let's just put it that way. And I was like, I didn't feel comfortable. Now, mind you, I'm looking for a job because at the same time, Shaka's going to school. Shaka's going to school because she's getting her master's. She was working on her master's degree, which we shall talk a little bit more later about that. She was working on her master's degree. And so I was like, I gotta, that was sign 3. Another major shift happened in leadership later on in that year. And it was like, yeah, bro, it's time to get the heck up out of here. So I intensified my search. But I wasn't hearing anything. At the meantime, me and Shaka were talking. Things started intensifying for her at her job. It wasn't necessarily, tension started to grow in her department. I don't want to tell it all, but and maybe you can add some color to the outline that I'm putting in. And we had the conversation that I'm not trying to pressure you to talk, whatever. But Shaka started feeling some pressure around her job, and she was doing her job and doing counseling.
My department,
or working on her degree.
My department was also getting smaller. For different reasons. And
mainly one, but yes, different reasons.
Yes, mainly one. And so because of that, it was putting more, there's more responsibility on us. And so I, in a role of a director and not having enough people to support the department, found myself doing more. Me and the other individual that was left in my department, and another individual actually were doing more than our job titles, we'll just put it that way, and taking on additional roles for the people that we were losing. But I'm very happy for the people that left. Like, they were amazing, and they went on to better things.
They went on to way
really
better
did.
things.
They really did. It's unfortunate how everything happened, but it was time for them as well to move on. It was time for them to. It was time for all of us to move on, and we all have. Literally. So I think that was kind of where it was for us, as all of for my department. As everything was increasing, I was also doing my practicum. So I was working 7 days a week because I could only get my hours in on the weekends when I wasn't working. So it was a lot of pressure.
So Shaka, on December the 6th? December 1st. What'd you do on December 1st, baby?
I quit. No, I turned in my resignation.
Yeah, now Shaka's a good one because she gave the company 30 days notice.
No, 5 weeks.
5 weeks. 35 weeks. Days notice.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
And she worked them 35 days. She worked hard them 35 days. Look, this girl, and she fine too. She fine, y'all. She fine, and she mine. She 41 and she fine.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, Shaka put in her letter of resignation, and then January 6th was our final day.
January 8th.
It was January first week something.
First week of January.
Yeah, and that was her last day. How did it feel when you left? Like, what was going on? What was going on through your mind?
It was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. I tried to leave under good conditions in terms of how I left things, but like my husband mentioned, there was a lot going on, and so it was kind of the fact that we had gotten to a place where it was time to leave. I don't know if you get this, but what my husband is saying is from the moment we prayed, it was because we felt a shift happening in what was in the business, in what was happening around us, and
in us,
but what was happening around us, like, and so what wound up happening from that moment was it kept happening, like it got worse. So I think God gave us grace too, because in the midst of everything that was going on, he protected us and he allowed us to maintain our jobs until we were able to transition out. But emotionally it was rough.
It was rough.
And so because of that, I hated leaving, my team that was left. I hated feeling like I wasn't able to accomplish all that I could have or wanted to. I think it got to a point, one thing I wanted to say, when I was made the director, there was a shift happening then as well. And I had amazing people who were in leadership around me who I believe, if given the opportunity, would have helped me to become the best director that I could have become. But because of circumstances, quickly after I became director, that leadership changed as well. And, it was followed up by a couple of individuals who I think also could have taken me to that next level. But it also incorporated some individuals who maybe were not prepared to lead others in that way that would have helped. So I think I kind of got put into a position where my ability to direct my team had I don't know, I want to say froze, halted. It wasn't progressing.
Yeah.
I wasn't progressing as a leader. I wasn't given the direction or instruction I needed to lead. And so my growth never continued, really, I don't feel like, past a certain point. So when I left, it was like, man, I really wanted to make a change. I really wanted to make an impact. I really wanted to grow as a person. And I've now been in this position for like a couple of years at this point. I think it was like 2 years or so.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I had progressed. So leaving was bittersweet because I'm like, man, I don't feel like I finished. I feel like I was released and I couldn't stay. I could not stay.
Because where there's no growth, you're not alive.
Yeah.
And you were concerned about me with you leaving.
Yeah. That was a hard transition.
Yeah. You were also concerned about me.
Can I finish my statement?
Oh, I thought you were done.
No, I'm
My bad.
sorry. I was saying I had a very independent team who was able to function really and help carry the department along with me. And so if it weren't for them, because I was still developing and still growing, I don't know if we would have even made it as far as we did. So I just wanted to shout out to the team that I had. But anyway, and yes, I was worried about you as well. Like, I was concerned that with me leaving, I did not want to leave. I didn't want to leave him there. Like, when we say we worked at the same place, we literally worked on the same floor. Less
than 50 feet away.
For different departments. And so I knew what my husband was enduring firsthand because I was in the same boat. Like, we were in it together. And the idea that I was free and he wasn't was really difficult. It made it hard to celebrate. It made it hard to come home and be happy, or to talk about how great my day was and how much I loved how much I
Hey,
loved my new
listen,
job and how different it was
listen,
from where I had been, and how like I love working
listen,
with the people I work with,
listen.
and my boss is
You
amazing.
not listening.
Like, hey, I'm giving a shout out because I love my job now. Like,
You
so it was.
well, let's
We'll talk
brief.
about that
Yeah,
later.
okay. Um, now, mind you, at the same time, first of all, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was considering me. She didn't want to leave because it left me, and she also, if you don't mind me adding this part, tell me if this is true or not. I'm touching you. I'm getting fresh. Uh, you also were concerned, how
That was like that that purity fresh. It's like,
like,
hey,
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 ooh,
ooh, I touched her
ooh,
leg.
I
You
touched
go
a
back to the
knee.
homie and he's like,
Ooh,
who? Hey guys, she let me touch her leg
I touched
tonight.
a knee.
Ooh,
I touched a knee.
snap.
Ooh, I felt.
You also concerned about um what would people think about me if I left?
About you?
I mean, what would people think about me with you leaving? Like,
Oh, okay. So I was worried that it would give out the secret
what's the
that
secret?
you were leaving, that you were trying to leave.
What? What? And then once again,
Yeah.
okay, so that is what happened. So
Redirected.
I
Like,
was people did come to me and was like,
mm-hmm.
Troy, you leaving? Troy,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be leaving now. And I would tell them the same story I told them before even my wife left. Look, I do desire for elevation. I do desire for promotion, and I can't be in this position my whole life. So regardless, and by me saying that, I was hoping that people understood, like, you want me to be here, but even if I do stay here, I want to be promoted, and I wouldn't be in the same function that you would have me in right now. So I might not even be able to help you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
get, well, I don't think people caught that. They were just more concerned. Hey, are you gonna leave us? And so,
Yeah. Cause me, like, my husband mentioned, when everyone else was repositioned, um, the focus was, are you going to stay? Because it was so drastic when it happened. The
so drastic.
concern was that
It
people
happened
who
out of the blue.
were, yeah, it literally happened in one day, one morning, out of the blue. Um, the concern was anyone who was remaining, were you going to stick around and take a chance that you could be next? Because in all of our minds, the thought was, they're not done yet. They're not done changing things and shifting things around. And so, that was the first time I think attention was put on my husband. And people would ask me, are you and Troy going to leave? Like, is Troy going to leave now? How's he doing? How's he feeling? Cause,
How's
cause,
Troy going to
yeah,
my wife? How's Troy
because
feeling?
it was his whole
What does he
department.
think?
Well, you're not going to ask the person who's mourning, like, who's in pain. Are you okay? Like, what happened? Kind of deal, but just wanting some information. So, you know, we're still there. A couple months have passed. Things have subsided a little bit. And when I say subsided, I just mean, no, people were still on edge. Everyone was still wondering, is it going to happen? Pins and needles type deal. But, we had kind of resumed our normal routine. So then I put in my notice. Okay. And people tied it to that instance when everyone left and figured the Burnett's were on their way out because people had been repositioned or people had been, let go. And it was like that had nothing to do with it. That for us, we knew was just one of the many signs that
That was
God had given
confirmation.
us,
Those were confirmations.
exactly,
Yeah.
about us being released. So even before that, they didn't know we were already making moves.
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward, I leave, and now it's like, hey, Troy, are you next?
Yeah.
Like, if Shaka's not here, Troy's probably not going to be here either.
And little did they know.
They knew. They knew.
6 months later,
They knew.
your boy put in his resignation.
Wouldn't have been 6 months if we could have helped it.
Man, let me tell you this right now. I don't want to get it confused. Because I'll tell this part, and hopefully this can put some more can help with the picture we're trying to paint. When I put in my resignation, sometime in June. My last day was June 28th. And I grieved. Well, let me take it back. I was crying for like a whole week. I put in my
Mm-hmm.
resignation 1 week, and then so I gave him 2 weeks notice. That whole first week of my resignation, I was like, hey man, y'all keep talking about me leaving. I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be here next week. So let's just work. Let's not worry about it. You know what I'm saying? And then the second week hit me, and that Monday I was at work. I was just tore up. It was my last week of work, and I was just tore up. I was like, man, I was second guessing if I should leave. And I didn't realize this. And me second guessing if I should leave, I'm also second guessing the confirmation that we were given
Mm-hmm.
based upon the prayer that we gave. I was second guessing the confirmations, because I started connecting uh the job with the people that I work with the the people that I served, my coworkers, and the people that we served there. And it was just so my students. I was trying to say it subtly without trying to give too much information. But I was connected to my students. I really love my
To the
students.
people you worked with.
And the people I work with, I love them. My staff and stuff like that, I love those people. And it just started to crash on me. And one thing that I put in my resignation letter was, regardless of where I am in the world, I'll always be your boy Troy. That was in my resignation letter. No, that wasn't my resignation letter. That was the letter that I sent to everybody, letting them know that I was leaving, because I didn't want it to be a surprise to anybody. I said, wherever I am in the world, I will always be your boy Troy. And that statement right there just stuck with me. One, I had established my identity as being your boy Troy at this job. Like, I would open up every meeting with your boy Troy. Every time I spoke at a convocation, I would open up, hey, it's your boy Troy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my moniker. That was who I am. And it felt like at that moment, that statement meant that who I was, who I developed, who I became was coming to an end. And because I really grew professionally. Like, this is the same dude that got fired at the age of 22 because he was sleeping on the job, literally. And and I had been, ever since I was 22, I'm 37 now. Ever since I was 22, I've been trying to work at a type of fashion or way in which I was trying to redeem myself from that 22-year-old Troy. And I felt like at this job I was able to do that. Not only was I able to grow professionally, but I was still able to be me. I remember having a conversation with one of my coworkers over the phone. It was a weekend conversation at the I was having a conversation with and one of my homeboys was with me in the car, and he was like, "Bro, you were talking to that doctor just now, and you didn't code shift no code
Code switch.
you didn't code switch. You was yourself just now, bro. That was impressive." I was like, "Yeah." And this was the job I was able to be professional and myself at the same time. And it felt like I was just leaving that all behind. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, the last week of work, I was crying. I was crying because that statement I wrote it, and it kept ringing in my head. I'll always be your boy Troy. And it just kept ringing in my head. And then the last couple days of work, a coworker of mine, he started making these posts. And if you want to see what those posts are, you can see them. I shared them on my Facebook page. He started saying stuff like, he started making office references of when Michael Scott was leaving the office. And if anyone knows anything about me, I didn't even realize this. I have on an office shirt right now. A lot of y'all have been looking at this like, what is that he has on? This is a shirt it's every character from The Office. He kept making references to The Office the whole week, in him and us disconnecting, and me leaving, Michael Scott's departure. And that was probably one of the saddest times in that whole TV show. And here it is. I'm living it out in real life. And so I'm crying the whole week. I go to basketball that Saturday. to talk to play basketball. We hooped for like 2 hours. I ended up losing the series. I think we lost 4 games. That was a really bad day. So I left work crying all week about that. Then we end up losing that day at basketball. At the end, we're sitting down, putting our taking our shoes off, switching out our shoes, because we don't walk out the gym with the same shoes. We just hooped in. If you do that, I pray for you. You are messing up your traction on your shoe, but it's neither here nor there. And so we're just conversing afterwards. I tell one of my homeboys there, I'll say his name is Matthew Swinson, and I tell him, hey man, a really good friend of mine. I was like, man, I've been crying all week. He asked me the question. He was like, hey, you think you've been grieving? And I was like, no, I ain't been grieving. And I was like, what is grief? I was like, what is grieving? And he goes into and I was in denial. And I was like, man, I don't know. So then I come home and I start talking to Shaka, and I'm like, babe, I've been crying all week. And I told Matthew Swinson that I've been crying all week, and he said I've been grieving. I haven't been grieving, have I? And Shaka was like, yeah, you have. And so I'm like, so y'all just gonna know I've been grieving, but y'all don't know to tell me that I didn't know what I've never been through an emotional. I have been through emotional loss like that before. Yeah. But I didn't have a definition to it. And so Shaka was like, yeah, I think you're in depression right now. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, not only am I in depression, I'm also in denial right now. And yeah, and since that time, I have been openly telling people who I've been in communication with, yeah, man, I've been crying the whole week. I've been grieving. And then every single person that I told that I've been crying, majority of them replied with this same statement. Troy, you've been at this job for nearly 8 years. You've put in a lot of work there, and you've grown professionally. It is natural for you to feel a bit of grief, to be grieving during this time, because and rightfully so, because you grinded and you worked real hard, but you also worked real hard to earn this new job. We quit because we got I quit because I got another job. We failed to mention that part. But
no, we mentioned in the beginning when you said we quit our jobs, and I was like, let me clarify, we did not quit our jobs.
You're right.
We quit
You're
a
right.
job. We have jobs.
Right. So and each one of them encouraged me and was like, hey man, this was your time. And I told one of the guys, in the text message, I said, man, I've come to realize that in my vulnerability, I have been discovering healing, because I tell people how I feel. And now I'm not telling just randos, I'm telling people that I trust, and they've been responding back saying, hey man, saying positive things, and it has been great for me. I just, right before we shot this podcast today, my homeboy called me, and because he's been needing for me to write a letter of recommendation for him, and he said I said, and I've been missing the deadlines. I'm like 5 days behind. I'm almost a week behind in the deadline of writing his letter of recommendation. And I text him back and I said, hey bro, I'm sorry. I didn't realize in the transition of me quitting my job, traveling, and starting my new job, I didn't realize, and then on top of that, grieving, which I did not anticipate, I didn't realize it was going to put me behind and not be able to do, and I bit off more than I could chew. He texted me back. He said, hey, bro, can I call you? And I was like, hey, man, let me find my headphones. He calls me back before I found my headphones and says, hey, bro, you all right? I was like, bro, didn't I tell you I've been grieving? He was like, no, you didn't tell me you've been grieving. And then he gave me more encouragement after I told him that I was going through a grieving process. So, and I'll be honest with you guys, grieving was necessary for me. Grieving helped me realize the significance of everything that I'd done, the people I was connected to, and the significance of me moving on to my next job. And here I am. I'm trying to quit crying because in manhood, and I'm talking too much, baby, cut me off a little bit so you can intervene, because people like to listen to you talk. So cut me off eventually with a point or something. But in manhood, you don't want to cry because it's crying comes off as being quote unquote not manly. And I don't think that's true. I think that crying is a part of humanity, period. Not and it's not is not designated to one individual gender or sex. Men cry too. And your boy was crying. Crying a lot.
And the one thing about Troy is things don't usually hit him that hard emotionally to a point of crying.
Facts.
There are probably less than a dozen times when I could think of in the past 10 years that I've known you, including our wedding day being one of them, where Troy has actually cried. And usually like the wedding day was a happy moment. But the only other time I think I've seen something affect you that strongly was at a funeral.
Death. Yeah.
Yeah, death. And so literally to hear that my husband had been crying, because mind you, he also keeps doing this when he's not around me. So I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I was mainly doing it in the car on the way to and from.
So to know that my husband was actually moved to tears means that it definitely is a hard impact, or has had an impact in his life, and that he's taking it pretty hard, or he was taking it pretty hard.
Yeah. But I'm here. And I'm a whole lot better now.
Yeah.
Bless the Lord. Started my new job last week. It was great. First 2 days. I forgot what orientation for a new job felt like because I hadn't had a new job in like 8 years. I was expecting the first day to hit the ground running, but they were like, nah, we need to learn these systems. We need to talk about this. We need to do that stuff. And I was like, all right, bet. That was cake. And so right now, okay, transitioning out of that, the Burnett's are moving. The Burnett's are moving. We are
not just moving. The Burnett's are relocating.
I'm talking about like whole nother state.
Whole other state.
A lot of y'all have been wondering. So, I haven't publicly said anything. My wife has posted on my behalf.
Yeah. So I think the majority of the people who actually watch this podcast know.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do. But for those who don't know, and here's the crazy part. Normally I am and this is how I know I was going through the grief process.
This is really how you know he was going through grief.
This is how you really know. Your boy is very public about everything that I'm going through. Y'all, I literally did a video of me having a cyst extracted from my forehead and posted it online. Like, I don't have a problem sharing about things that's going on in my life. And I knew I was going through a grieving process when I couldn't get online to talk about anything.
That was that denial part that you were in.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about, the stages of grief when he finally realized what he was experiencing. And, initially when my husband had to come to terms with the fact that he was leaving, and really put his notice in to make it official, the first thing he went through was denial, not wanting to really confirm within himself that he was going to be leaving his job, like leaving a position that he had grown in and loved, and individuals that he had worked with, and all the things that he mentioned. And so I think for him, actually leaving on that last day, which meant turning in his badge, turning in his key, turning over his computer, shutting his door for the last time, like all those things that
Oh, you bringing it back up
I know,
again, the
I
emotions.
know. Hey, that's what you got to do. You got to do emotions for the ratings. So, all of the stuff that literally meant the end of a chapter. When that finally happened on that last day, I think it's when it really hit him. And as people were saying things throughout the week, like he mentioned, he was doing different things that were actually closing out parts of his job.
Yeah.
And so he has, over the past couple of weeks, well, actually it's only been 2 weeks, right? Technically, this is the second week.
Since when?
Since your last day.
My last day was 28th.
And today's
last week was the whole first week.
Right, so this is only the second week.
This is start of the second week, yes.
So this is only the second week. Yes. Gotcha. So it's still fresh. So
it is.
Literally having to be in that position where that day happened, it was a Friday, so you go into a weekend, which could almost be like it's the weekend, so everybody's off. But then Monday morning, when everyone else is getting up and you're like, I don't have to go in.
I didn't have to go.
Yeah, like that.
What I did.
So for him, it just kind of added to, wow, this is real. This hasn't happened yet. It is. And so, he eventually, depression set in for him. It was a very sad moment. He was literally mourning. And really processing what it meant to no longer be in that role. And I think that's something that, as people started pouring out, or as people started posting on Facebook and asking questions, and it became more obvious that he was gone to the people who were not there when it happened, it kind of was like, man, all these people started sharing their thoughts and giving love and making posts and calling him and texting him and all these different things that really just kind of started to remind him of the impact he's made and how important his role really was. And this is where I have to give you, your shout out. I always tell you that you have a way of touching people that I don't even think you really recognize, I guess, the magnitude of your influence. And so it was really good for me to see all of those things that were being said, because I felt like, good, I can tell my husband that he is doing a great job and that he really mattered in someone's life and that he had an impact and that that people care. But that's just kind of, I don't know, there's something when you actually can start to like quantify it, and you're like, oh wow, look, there's more and more and more and more people actually saying it, and people taking the time to acknowledge you. And so I think that also had an impact. It's like, wow, I knew I was doing something, but now I can actually see it.
Yeah.
That and so
yeah.
So,
and I was letting people speak on my behalf.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't speak on my behalf. Yeah. One day my wife was so Shaka's so cute, everybody. She's so cute. First of all, she's cute, like physically cute. But then she's cute as an individual because she my very first day of work, she wanted to be there the moment that I was actually leaving to go to work that day. And so here I am. I'm trying to be on time for the first time for work. And I had an hour-long commute because I was commuting from my grandmother's house. We haven't moved completely yet. Commuting from my grandma's house. And she's like, hey, turn around real quick and take a photo on your first day of your job.
It's tradition.
It's tradition because she did it on my first day of the job when I first started this previous job. It's
like a first day of school.
First day of school. And she, what did
literally.
she do? It was. It literally is. I'm starting at school. What did Shaka do? I came back and she was like, hey, have you mentioned anything on your social media about you starting this new job? And I was like, nah.
No, I
She was,
messaged you. You were still at work when I messaged you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, no, I haven't. But ma'am, you have full permission to promote or put out anything you want to put out right now on my behalf. And she put a post up, and they're like 500. It's had 500 some plus likes on it right now,
Mm-hmm.
nearly about 200 comments now. 100 of those comments are me responding back saying thank you. So but yeah, I couldn't do it. And I'm thankful that we have this podcast, that I'm able to talk through it
Mm-hmm.
right now, and be able to share it with everybody, to give everybody the news that the Burnett's are relocating to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
uh
Leaving Virginia.
Leaving Virginia. This will be my second time leaving Virginia in my life. And we're going to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I have started a new job at Wake Forest University,
Mm-hmm.
School of Business, and I've met my colleagues. They're super duper cool. I haven't met one yet, but we'll be meeting them soon. And it's been, I feel like we've made the right decision. And so now, with all of that being said, now we leaving our house,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been a whole process in itself.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving our friends, and
You're leaving your friends.
yeah, I'm leaving my friends because I got basketball friends. I play poker. I got poker friends, and I got church friends. Shaka's got friends here too, man. She faking. She and then we got couple friends that we're leaving behind too, of which we would love to link up with y'all if we can before we leave. But we got about roughly 30 days.
We don't have 30 days anymore.
We don't have 30 days.
Mm-mm.
With that being said, who wants to help us move?
So,
We're gonna pack up everything. All you got to do is pick it up and move it to the car, truck, U-Haul, double size, a lot of stuff. What?
I forgot what I was going to say
Oh, I'm
because you
sorry.
kept going, so I forgot what I was going to say.
My bad.
It's okay.
How you feel about relocating?
Again, another bittersweet thing. Um, so I think right now, if I were to be honest, I'm in the mourning stage.
Oh, snap.
Like I'm grieving. And I've said this to you.
No.
Yeah. So I mentioned I really like my job.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yes, you did.
I really like my current job.
Yes.
I really like the individuals that I am blessed to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone from my boss, which is a change, all the way down to the individuals I do the day to day with.
Yeah.
And oh well, not down, all the way across to the individuals I do the day to day with. And I just it's been a blessing. It's been a true blessing. And so it is tough because again, seeing my husband in the position he was in where I was happy and he was still having a challenge every day, made it difficult for me to completely open up about experiences I was having. And so now my husband has an opportunity to have the same release that I did. But it means that in order for him to not be where he was, and also for us to not be in the position we were in, we have to move away from where we were.
Yeah.
And so we can't be close to where we were. So in order for him to have the same release, we have to, go where God sends us, which is what we want to do. But in this case, it means now leaving a place that I had grown to love.
Shaka loves her boss. Is amazing.
He's amazing.
I remember one day
So godly.
Shaka texted me. She was like, our boss just prayed for us. And so when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, he always prays for y'all. He always prays for his you know, his the people who work for him. And then I get home, Shaka was like, "Oh, it was so nice." I was like, "Babe, that's regular. He always pray." She was like, "No, he prayed for us, me and you specifically today." And I was like, "Oh, snap, babe.
Yeah.
I totally downplayed that prayer. Did not know specifically
Mm-hmm,
for us."
mm-hmm. I came from a place where my previous boss micromanaged. In a very,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, in a very, um, there, there's a word for it, but I'm not going to use the word
We're not gonna do
because
that.
now I know what it is, and so now I have a better understanding of what was happening.
Y'all not about to
But
get the petty
nope,
spaghetti here.
nope, not at all. And so, to come from an environment like that to a place where I am now, where I walk in and there's so much peace, where if I have to stay extra,
Mm.
I don't mind. Where I don't mind if they contact me and I'm not at work, like I'm off. Text messages from the people I work with make me laugh, and or you want to help. But to have a boss who genuinely cares. There's one other time I had a boss like this. I mean, a couple of times I've had a boss like this, but in the past couple of years, really, where I felt they genuinely cared. And I think you know who the one person
Yeah.
I'm thinking of is. Yeah, I literally cried when this boss told me that he was stepping down. So that hurt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I literally cried,
Yeah.
and he embraced me, and I cried more. I was like, this is like dad, and dad is leaving. So that was probably one of the most impactful moments I can remember. But then this one right here, like when I started telling him that we were leaving, I started crying. And once again, I got that same support and care that I had received that one other time before. And I was like, and this is what I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave someone who understands when I say, because my husband and I are one, even though this decision is difficult, we have to do this for us. And who says, yes, you have to follow where God leads you. And that's one thing. And then two says, and your marriage is important enough for you to go with each other to where that next place is. Like, it doesn't look at me like you have to do this and the business and the company, but literally gives me his blessing. So it is hard because part of my concern is, Lord, you blessed me for this period of time that I needed. I think this was actually probably, if I look at it now, this was the time God gave me that I needed to recover.
Ooh, speak on that.
Yeah, like how you mentioned, that period of time was your healing period. I think God gave me this sanctuary, so to speak, so that because I had just come from a place where I was deeply wounded.
Yeah.
And I think if I had gone to another environment where it wasn't as supporting, the damage could have been
even worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would have been trauma on top of trauma.
Exactly. And so I think God gave me this period of time, and I got comfortable, and I'm like, man, I love it. I could see myself here until he sells the business. I told him that. But I think God was like, excuse me, this is a respite for you. And maybe it was never meant to be my home, but I think it was what I needed in order for not just my mind to heal, but my body and my spirit to be fed and to get better. Because I feel like a different person than I did, 6-7 months ago. I don't feel the weight that I felt when I first came. So, but that is the grieving process. I had this place. This is also my first time having a career position, I think.
Yeah.
So,
babe, let me apologize to you on camera right now by saying that I understood you leaving this job it was not going to be easy. But I did not realize that you too were going through a grieving process like me. Mm-hmm. First of all, I didn't know I was going through a grieving process. So let's put that on out there. So that's part of my ignorance. But I'm glad. Thank you for articulating it the way that you did just now, because it makes me to know more about the weight of how important this job was to you. Now, I've said this. Hopefully, I think I said this. I might have said this in my mind, but everything I say in my mind, I think I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have had that conversation with you before. Oh, I talk to you all the time, but you just don't know it. I talk to you all day in my head. I
Mm-hmm.
have conversations with you in my head, and then I'm like, babe, didn't I tell you that? Like, no, you didn't. I was like, oh, I was talking to the you in my head.
That explains a lot of times when you're like, remember I told you, and I'm like, no,
No,
you mentioned this part,
no,
but you
no,
didn't
no.
necessarily tell me.
I know. I remember distinctly. Don't you do the okey doke on me. Don't take my weakness and then flip it on me.
I didn't call it a weakness, but
not my weakness. Hold on, my flaw, or whatever.
whatever.
I I didn't know that you were grieving, and I thank you for taking the time out to acknowledge that, because I hope. Okay, so you did your degree here, and if for all those who don't know, Chaka got her degree in family counseling, and in her job, when you go to different state
in clinical mental health counseling,
clinical
like
mental
professional
health
counseling.
Yes, everything she just said. Disregard what I just said. When you go to different states, it's not like you can pick up and go from one state to another. You have to go through all the regulations that state requires you to go in order to be certified and licensed.
Yeah.
And so this next move is not one that's going to be taken lightly, because we have to take your job in consideration. Now, granted, you know, you were in your internship time, and now you've been working, but I do want to take it seriously in our next location of where we are, because I don't want you to have to always just pick up and go because of my job. You know what I'm saying? I think we've been on the same page that when my job would take us somewhere, or I'd be the one leading, you know, trying to get a job or stuff like that. And it's not me trying to dominate you or me trying to, whatever the case may be. It's just been like, hey, you know, you were trying to leave your job, I was trying to leave my job. And so, you know, I looked and we found and we agreed, we prayed, we confirmed, and we left. You know what I'm saying? It was a joint decision.
Yeah. I think it was also different because one thing I said, this is the first time I've had what I believe is my career position.
Mm-hmm.
And so me leaving, like my husband, when he graduated, he went into, well, after the one job, by the time we got married, he was operating in what I guess would be your career position, which would be working at university.
Higher education.
Yeah, exactly. And so for me, I was in a field that I had planned on, not a field that I had planned on leaving, but in order for me to really do what I had wanted to do when I was in undergrad, I would have needed a graduate degree. And I eventually, truthfully, would have needed a doctoral degree in order to really be recognized and respected in the field. And so because I had not figured out how that was going to happen and had not gone back to school for that, I felt like I was in a good place for transition. I'm like, well, I'm kind of at the peak of where I can be career wise for this particular field, because I don't have higher education. So until I have another degree, this is I can get this kind of job anywhere, so to speak. So when I had told my husband I wanted to go back to school, I had actually wanted to go back to school for something in particular, which was genetic counseling. And because I wanted to be a genetic counselor, but I wanted to eventually do research, which is why I said my doctoral degree. So when we were talking about places we would go, I said, you know, I feel like I also want to do counseling because I'm already mentoring so many people, and I can talk about that later. But anyway, this was kind of a means to an end. But in the I guess in actually going through it, it became, I'm like, wow, this is really what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So
she's great.
Yeah. Thank you. So So that's why now I'm at a place where I'm like, I think this is my career. And so now transitioning doesn't doesn't seem so easy because I'm not just leaving a job. It's like I'm leaving the job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
yeah.
That was a lot.
Mhm.
We that was a lot.
Mhm.
Um.
So, how
You got.
has
Go ahead.
how has this affected us?
Uh. Good.
I think we just talked about that, didn't we?
We can. We can. Let's end on that question.
Okay.
All right. So, how has it affected me? Us quitting our jobs. One, it has made me to uh, be. It has made me to put trust more in my faith versus my ability. That's one thing, because I believe that the way that God has structured things, that He's ultimately in control. And there were times where I was like, this is going to fall through, and I'm not going to have a job anywhere. And we're gonna just be at my grandma's house. And I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna be at my grandma's house until I find the next job, to God be the glory. You know what I'm saying? Because she's been trying to beg us to come move in her house for the longest time, as it is right now. So
Hey,
I had,
Grandma.
yeah, thank you, Grandma. We love you, and Mom, and Shaka's mom, and my uncles, and all of Shaka's aunts and
Okay,
uncles,
we're
and
gonna leave
everybody,
someone out.
and
Hi,
siblings,
everyone.
everybody. We love y'all. Uh, my brother too, and so and my sisters. I'm stop. I'm stop. I'm
Yeah,
stop.
stop.
I'm
Because
stop.
you're gonna leave someone out in
I
all of that.
know. I know. I know.
And what was your thought? Do you remember your thought
My
now?
thought was that regardless of if it does or does not work out, this was a faith step. We prayed. We got our answer. We got confirmations, and it was like, hey, we just going to take this step. So this has helped me to grow more into my faith. Also to show me the significance of my role and who I am. Because to be quite honest with you, I deal a lot with what's the phrase? False humility. I deal with false humility a lot. I don't give myself as much credit as I should for the things or whatever the case may be. Not personality syndrome. Uh, uh, um, Fake person syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yes, I deal with imposter syndrome a lot, and I had to research those things to try to see exactly what those are. And so this put a lot of that stuff in check. And so that has affected me in that way. I'm gonna let me speak upon us, and then I'm gonna let you speak upon you, and then us, and then we'll conclude from there.
Okay.
So for us, I believe this has affected us, because this has drawn us together a whole lot more. I have I'm trying to communicate as much more as I can with my wife, because this is a transition right now, and so we have to talk about me working at the job, me being here at home, us moving, us getting a new apartment. That was a whole. Why is getting an apartment so hard? I digress. We had to go through that process, and so this has allowed for us to grow closer together, in working, I guess, on a quote unquote project Burdette move, you know what I'm saying, or relocation or new job thing. And so I think that has brought us closer together, in that, at least that's what I like to hope. How about yourself?
I think for me, one thing I've always known about myself is that I don't handle transition well. So, I get into a routine and I get comfortable in the routine because it's one less thing that I have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So, being in transition right now, especially when things don't feel stable, throws me into this loop that that really drives me crazy. If I were to be honest, it really, it's unsettling, so to speak.
Yeah.
So right now, just to kind of give you guys a little picture, because of how this transition is happening, everything in our lives is duplicated. So, we have a house and we have an apartment. We have his job in the new state, North Carolina. I still have my job in Virginia. Looking for a job in North Carolina, and while having, maintaining this job. And all of those, there's a couple of other areas just because this is that crossover period.
Yeah.
And so having to manage everything that's happening right now when everything is not moving at the same pace,
Yes.
is difficult. It really is, because we did this before when we were coming from Maryland, and I don't know why it didn't seem as, I don't know. Honestly, I think part of it is also because we're in a pandemic, and so things are not normal already.
Yeah.
But like part of it too is like I don't have a normal schedule right now. I have off times, so to speak. And so when we were looking for an apartment, we had to go on a Sunday because Sunday was the day I had off. When we've been handling apartment things, we've had to go on a Thursday because I've had off on a Thursday. And so I'm used to having like Friday, Saturday. So or Saturday, Sunday. So I'm going to go down on Friday, spend the whole weekend, come back Sunday night. So I feel like I kind of get a time to adjust. We're literally doing day trips to make stuff happen. So that makes it feel rushed.
And it's 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah, exactly. One way. So, so for me, I think one of the things that's happening is I'm having to rest more in God and trusting, Lord, like God, am I forgetting something? And am I not giving something priority that should have priority, like that kind of thing. And one of the things I'm realizing for my own peace of mind is I just have to trust in God that it's all going to work out, even if it's not perfect. And even if some of it, happens at the 11th hour, I have to trust that it's going to work out, because I can't, like, it's too much to hold right now. Yeah. And I can't, like, my arms are not big enough to hold it all and to manage it all. And I can't juggle, never been able to, not trying to. So even trying to facilitate things has been challenging. And so I'm taking my time. I'm not making myself feel rushed. I'm taking my time, and that has probably been the biggest impact it's had on me. Just really seeing how that looks and really walking in that understanding of God. It's going to have to be you, because there's no way on earth I can do this.
Yeah.
In terms of us, I don't know, like one of the things that I definitely want for you is, you're down there working. So because it's another thing. So mentioning that double, that also means that from time to time we're not together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so because of that, I want my husband to be able to focus on his job and not have to worry about all the other stuff, because it's a new position for him. So doing all this stuff also means doing some of it by myself, so that he can get acclimated with his new position and his new job, because they're expecting a lot from him right now.
They are.
And understanding what it means for me to do this, I'm, even though it's transition, I'm still in a position where I have an individual, like a boss who's understanding, a support who's been very helpful, and all these different things. So at some point, I know my husband's going to have to, do more in helping. But right now, at the very beginning of it all, just trying to get things in order so that when that time comes, we're not trying to scramble to do things. So that's kind of what that means, like doing more organization and preparation right now.
Wow. This girl, she can articulate very, very well.
I hope so, guys, because I told you, I think in one of the last podcasts, how we talk now is not Like when we make all these grammatical errors. It's not how we
We're
normally
relaxed.
talk. I
Yeah, and
know.
we're on our own
But
home, you know what I'm
well,
saying?
that's
So
not what I said.
oh, okay.
What I actually said was it is very weird trying to talk and think with a microphone in your face.
Ah.
And so my vocabulary is off because I'm
Man,
trying to
these are
also
people's, man.
remind myself to talk into the mic.
These are our people, and they know what's going on. Look, we're going to eat dinner because I'm hungry, and it's dinner. It's past dinner time. So sign us off, babe. Do you remember how to? I don't remember how we sign off.
I don't either. Do we just
Uh,
say what it is? I know we kiss.
uh, I'm your boy Troy.
And I'm your girl Shaka.
And then you have been listening to Beauty and Beard. We're so thankful that you guys were able to come by and listen to us. We hope to come back soon. Until then, peace.
Love you all. Love you too.
Kisses.
Kisses.
And you know I love you because I let you kiss me with your lipstick on. Peace out, people. Love you guys.
Bye.
That was good.
You said my lipstick on.
You did a really good job.